So, as you guys know, the coverage of Deadpool related content is my chance to cast aside the serious nature of my videos and have some fun. In this instance, we're going to have a conversation about how Deadpool became Iron Man and caused one of the worst environmental disasters in the history of Marvel Comics. So, the story of Deadpool becoming Iron Man actually opens up in 1985 at the Daily Bugle, depicting the comic in a manner almost identical to the way comics were drawn during this time. Writers Jerry Duggan and Brian Posehn bring us a scenario of business as usual, with Spider-Man's nemesis Vulture having previously committed a crime in Harlem, Oscorp dealing in illegal arms trading, and Stark Industries in the middle of a hostile takeover, while Stark sits in a drunken state, allowing his company to go to pieces. Now, in the main Marvel continuity, Obadiah Stane had actually launched a hostile takeover, and alcoholism was a major part of Stark's life. And because this story takes place in Deadpool Volume 3, Issue number 7, we can largely assume that this is in the mainstream continuity. While the writers don't really clarify, this seems to be true in the fact that Flash Thompson is still being a dick. What I mean here is that when he parks in a handicap spot, when Peter tells him it's the wrong thing to do, Flash simply replies that legless people shouldn't be able to get all the good parking spots. However, in the midst of Peter lecturing Flash, Deadpool simply appears with no explanation of how he got there. Now, in truth, it would be foolish of us to ask such a ridiculous question, since the answer is clearly just reasons. But the fact remains that Deadpool jacks Flash's car, hotwires it, and drives off, claiming that stealing the car from a handicap spot is okay because he's mentally handicapped. And so where Flash Thompson shows up screaming for someone to stop Deadpool, Peter simply lets Deadpool drive off, leaving Flash to deal with the consequences of being a jerk. Following this, where Deadpool seems to be driving around without any real purpose and stole Flash's car for the fun of it, during his drive, he almost hits and kills the Power Pack. Now, where we have to suffer through the misfortune of knowing that they survived, Duggan actually takes a bit of a potshot here with regards to their title. What I mean is that Power Pack was Marvel's attempt to tap into the preteen audience during the 1980s by having a title centering on a team of children, including Franklin Richards, all of whom had powers. Where the title was moderately successful, lasting 60 issues until 1991, the cancellation of Power Pack's solo run was actually due to poor sales, something used when Deadpool makes the case that he doesn't have to kill them off, since their failing title will do it for him. However, in the midst of making fun of the Power Pack and their crappy comics, Deadpool receives a visit from a man named Vetis Esquire. Now, this character was actually created explicitly for this story, and where his role in the Marvel Universe will be provided, it won't be done in this comic. And so to round things out a bit, Vetis is a demon from the realm of Mephisto, who would travel the world, make pacts with mortals for the purpose of spreading demonic power, and then feed on that power with the intention of overthrowing Mephisto. While his efforts would fail and he would be killed by Mephisto, this particular comic introduces character by having him form a pact with Deadpool for the purpose of keeping Iron Man drunk, and in return, Deadpool would get a Laserdisc factory. Now, for those of you who don't understand why this is such a big deal, my advice is to go watch Blade Runner on Laserdisc. If after seeing it, you walk away still unsure of why Laserdiscs matter, then there's absolutely no hope for you. But continuing on, Deadpool goes on a mission to find alcohol, and after walking into a liquor store, he comes across a hippie jacking the place after having killed the store owner. Now, where the hippie makes the claim that the store owner cut himself shaving, I'm actually inclined to believe him. The reason why is because I shaved with a straight razor once and cut myself, so I could easily see how this might happen. And so after distracting the hippie with some bottles of Party Time Fruit Liquor, which is a comic stand-in for Mad Dog 2020, a well-known bum wine that sells for $3.99 a bottle down at Pickles, Deadpool, which it actually does, Deadpool kills the hippie owing to the fact that taking someone to jail is simply too time-consuming, after which he leaves the store with a giant bag of alcohol. From here, we transition to Hotel Flom in Los Angeles and Tony Stark sitting drunk watching Howard the Duck while in the middle of a stupor. With Deadpool busting into the room claiming to be room service, when the ruse doesn't go over, he simply presents himself as the Deadpool. Furthermore, where Stark asks how Deadpool was able to find him, when Wade states that Stark left clues, a bit of banter ensues regarding Stark leaving a giant Iron Man-shaped hole in the wall. Now, where Deadpool was supposed to keep Stark supplied with alcohol and drunk, for some reason beyond me, he suddenly develops a conscience, leading him to have second thoughts about a world without Iron Man. And so after coaching Stark out of his alcoholism and helping him get his life back together, in the middle of pouring their alcohol down the drain, Howard the Duck is interrupted by a news broadcast stating that a power plant is overheating due to the generators failing, resulting in a China syndrome. Now, to provide a bit of clarity, the China syndrome is a metaphor used to describe a scenario where the core of a nuclear reactor heats up to the point that it burns through its containment vessel, the housing building, and eventually the crust of the Earth. The term China syndrome comes from an archaic joke that the United States and China are on opposite sides of the Earth, meaning that the core would burn through the crust of the planet, fall through its core, and out of the other side into China. While this is clearly nonsense and that this wouldn't happen, the term is meant to indicate a situation where the breach is so severe that virtually nothing can stop it. And so after knocking Stark over the head with a bottle of liquor, spray painting the Iron Man helmet to match his face, and donning the suit, Deadpool takes off to the scene of the meltdown as the Avengers' most intoxicated hero. And so arriving on the scene of the meltdown and speaking with the nuclear technician on site, since the nuclear rods serve the purpose of keeping the core from overheating, with a lack of coolant, the rods are allowing it to overheat. And so when the technician suggests using seawater as a way to cool the rods, Deadpool misunderstands, and as a result, takes the rods and throws them into the ocean. Now, this is probably the worst thing Deadpool could have done. And the reason why is because this nuclear power plant was located on the Pacific Coast Highway, which is a stretch of water running along San Francisco, Santa Monica, and Santa Cruz. And so Deadpool had essentially made this water undrinkable and the sea life inedible, and that the water has been poisoned with nuclear radiation. As a result, he gets an earful from Tony Stark, and that they'll be cleaning up the Pacific Coast. As a result, he gets an earful from Tony Stark stating that they'll be cleaning up the Pacific Coast Highway for years due to his actions. Oh, this comic is amazing. In addition to this, where Vetis makes his return in anger over the fact that Deadpool seemed to have allowed Stark to become sober, Wade argues that when the contract was signed, it stipulated that Iron Man needed to be drunk and stay drunk, not Tony Stark. To this end, when Deadpool developed a conscience and decided that the nuclear power plant needed to be saved, because Stark was in no physical condition to act, Deadpool upheld the bargain by getting drunk, dressing in the Iron Man suit, flying to the scene, saving the nuclear power plant, albeit irradiating the Pacific Ocean in the process. And so consequently, with no recourse for Wade's argument, Mephisto appears, taking Vetis back to hell on the grounds that not only was he tricked by a mortal, but had been plotting against Mephisto himself by enticing bargains with mortals and being unable to show anything for it. And so as the story comes to a close, Cable suddenly appears, out of nowhere, I don't know why, but Cable suddenly appears wearing Doc Brown's spaghetti strainer hat from Back to the Future, claiming that Deadpool needs to travel with him for the purpose of stopping Senor Sinister, the Mexican brother of Mr. Sinister, and that if they fail, a Messiah War will break out, resulting in a mutated legacy virus that infects the X-Men, leading to Deadpool joining Cable and traveling back to the future. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is why I love Deadpool stories, because I get to just kind of cut loose and have some fun. And yeah, so I will catch you guys later. Peace.